The horror genre is no stranger to sequel films, so today we're going to talk about 10 sequel movies that are actually better than the original. How's it going, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to another episode here at Figure Out Films. I'm your host, as always, Chris. And today, like I said, we are talking about horror sequels. And I have a background in horror sequels as well with my old podcast, Inside the Sequel, which you can still listen to on Spotify. But we're going to talk about them today. This video was mostly inspired by Planet CHH talking about sequel horror movies that he liked as well. So I do want to shout out Planet CHH. If you can check out Christian and his stuff over there, highly recommend you do. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and talk about 10 horror sequels that I think are better than the original. And the theme for today is actually we're going to start off a little bit more tame, and as we go down the list, it's actually going to get a little bit more spicy. It's going to be a little bit more crazy, and I know those comments are probably going to be calling me out and calling me crazy. That's all good, but let's go ahead and get started. At number 10, I do have 47 Meters Down, Uncaged. I love this movie. I like the first one as well too. However, I think too, and I think most people agree that this one just kind of overtakes the first in terms of like scale. There's way more violence in this. The scares are here, and you have a bigger cast as well. So I do enjoy this one and how it basically builds on the original and takes it up an extra notch. Also, that ending is crazy. If you have not seen the 47 Meters Down 1 or 2, I highly recommend you do because these are some great shark films. Coming out number 2, I'm only going to put a placeholder on this. I do not think it's Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. I actually think it's its third movie in the trilogy. It's Prom Night 3. So Prom Night 3 is actually more of a horror comedy. It definitely steps up more from 2. I think the first one is actually trash. I'm not a big fan of the original Prom Night with Jamie Lee Curtis. And I do think the sequel does do a better job of being a better movie than the first, but I think the third one really nails the tone. I will say, I don't think that the sequel or the ending to the third one is amazing because of the tone and everything we went through, but I do like those characters. I love that story. So at number 9, I do have Prom Night 3. I know that is a hard one to kind of check out and see. I think you can watch it on some streaming services, but I am hoping for some sort of boutique in the future. At number 8, I have the Purge movie, specifically the third Purge film, Purge Election Year. Now, the Purge movies, I feel like when they came out, people were like either into them or people were just trying to say that they were trying to be too political. And that's kind of the thing of it, but also I think people judged it before actually watching these movies. I think people watched the first one, it was like a home invasion movie. And you know, it was good, but however, I think 2 and 3, and then all the sequels actually after do so much better with the work. I think it greatly improves on the first one. It expands the lore in this universe. I love these Purge movies, but specifically the Purge Election Year with Frank Grillo. Man, this is good horror stuff right here. I honestly think this is a very bulletproof franchise that doesn't get talked about enough. So I have to put it here as the sequels being way better than that original. Next on the list is from a director I absolutely love. And I love this first movie, but I think the second one just does a lot better. That is Rob Zombie's Devil's Rejects. Now, the Devil's Rejects, again, builds on the Firefly trio after the events of the first movie. The first one is iconic, don't get me wrong. But this one just kind of takes things up a notch. I still think Bill Moseley turns in one of the best performances of the 2000s with this movie. Bill Moseley just being Otis in this movie just is so terrifying. You get so many iconic lines from this as well. There's a lot of uncomfortable moments that like just add to the tension and the horror of this. And honestly, the ending with the Freebird shootout is pretty damn cool, I'm not gonna lie. The first House of a Thousand Corpses, it just definitely like an homage to so many things. But this one, I feel like Rob Zombie really carves out his craft. It puts a staple on the type of filmmaker he is. And I think, yeah, this one just adds everything up way better than the first. Even though I love that first movie and it has so many great actors and moments, I still think this is like Rob Zombie's best movie. This is just so good. Well, actually now with the Munsters, probably his best, but man, Devil's Rejects so good. At number 5, is this controversial at this point? I don't know, but for me, I just prefer to watch this one more. That is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, baby, by Tobe Hooper. I love that first movie, but here's the thing. It's very simple. It's not as crazy. I think the implied horror and violence on it is really impressive. It's really great. But when you watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, it's so much fun. It's still graphic. It's fun. It's crazy. Toby Hooper unhinged in this movie. I also love the incorporation of Chop Top with Bill Moseley again in this movie. I love the Sawyer family kind of being their own characters in this versus in the first one they're just like the villains. I don't really care for the crew from the first movie. I think that collection of characters are not that memorable, and when they are, they're not the most positive characters for me. Sure, I love the ending to the original TCM, but like, 2 just steps it up even better. And now with the new 4K releases too, now I can watch these in pristine. I still don't know the best way to watch the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I have it on Blu-ray as a steelbook, and then like there's like issues with like the 4K versions and Second Sight and stuff. I'm gonna just always watch this one the first because it's just so damn good. It's just crazy over the top. I would say this also has more of a following than the original as well. So there you have it. Next is like another great trilogy. Again, I love these movies, and you couldn't even call it a trilogy because there's so many more movies after, but I gotta go with George A. Romero's Dead trilogy and Day of the Dead. No stranger of this title if you've been following this channel, that I love Day of the Dead. This is to me one of my favorite movies of the 80s, and also I think one of the best zombie movies, period. George A. Romero making the zombies in daytime in this movie. This is the third installment of the Undead trilogy, and I think it's his best. I mean, Tom Savini doing the special effects here, the story of like the military being just as ruthless and scary as the undead, that it feels second nature, trying to heal the zombies from trying to get back to being human. I love the trio of characters in this movie as well. The score is top notch. What can I say more that I haven't said about Day of the Dead? I think to me the Undead trilogy for Romero just gets better and better and better with each installment up to this point. Now, I'm not going to say I love Land of the Dead or Survival of the Dead, but Day of the Dead for me, man, it's so good, So I know Dawn of the Dead is going to be the one people definitely say, but for me, I just really love Day. I don't know, is that just a hot take? But, we're going into the top 5. So what are your thoughts on the Undead trilogy? If I'm talking about some of these horror movies that you like, you want to see more lists like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned so you don't miss out on any other top 10s like this. Coming in at number 4, I'm going in hard. I'm going to go with Nightmare on Elm Street 2. This is totally a personal pick, but I actually did reviews of the entire franchise not that long ago here on this channel, and 2 for me is still my favorite. I will say 3 and 4 are definitely hopping high on the list after doing a ranking of them. Yeah, 1 is iconic, but 2 flies by so fast for me. Sure, the runtime, but man, 2 is just so fun. I love the characters. I love Jesse. I love the design of Freddy in 2. I think he looks so much better. The stripes on his sleeves that are finally incorporated in 2 and become the staple for basically every image of the character from then on. So there's some stamps of iconicness there. But yeah, 2 is just for me my favorite. It's the easiest to watch. It's also my favorite to enjoy. Love the characters. I love the kills. So many great scenes. I'm talking about like the pool party scene, all the scenes at the school, the gym teacher, making him do those awkward push-ups. It just, as much as I love Nancy in that first one, 2 just has a little bit more spice to it, and that's why I gotta put this at number 4. Coming at number 3 is the third installment film. I love these third installments. Not to say that I don't also love the second ones, but sometimes the threes in these franchises just they get me so much. And I thought it was so weird when I watched this movie at the Music Box that people didn't like this movie, because on my first time watching, I thought it was so good, and I always was like 2's my favorite, but now I think 3 might be, the more I think about it. So many great lines. Of course, I'm talking about Child's Play 3. Have it here through the Arrow 4K edition here. Child's Play 3, when Andy gets shipped off to military school and has to like restart his life after the events of the first 2 movies, Chucky finds him there and decides he's gonna start partnering up with the bullies and partnering with the kid to try and take someone else's body instead of Danny's. I love the setting of this movie. This movie really, really nails the comedy and the horror. I mean, it's Child's Play and it's Chucky. I'm not gonna say there isn't that much horror. I mean, it's very enjoyable horror, but it's still got its chops. It's got the graphicness. It's got an insane Brad Dourif performance here as Chucky. I love Danny, the character in this movie. I think this is his strongest role from the first 2 movies. I know he was so much younger now, but like I like him in this age, kind of like that teenager in a military school, dealing not only with being new, but with the bullies and like with the adults, and then Chucky here as well. I love the final act as well. All three of these movies, and most of the Child's Play movies in general, have really great third acts and like those great final battle areas. I love the setting for 3. I think it really sets the mark. I don't get the hate for this movie. I think this is better than the first. As much as I love that first one, don't get me wrong, 3 is going to be the one I just always probably rewatch going forward. At number 2, I could say so many other sequels, but for me, it always starts with this one because I love the setting. I'm talking about Scream 2. I love the college campus setting. I'm going to say that now. I think in Scream 1, as amazing and perfect of a movie that is, as much as I love the setting of the first one as well, they're high schoolers at it's Westboro, I believe. I don't know. I just don't care that much that they're high schoolers. I think it's so much cooler that they're college students and they have to navigate different social circles and have a variety of different characters in Scream 2 versus in Scream 1 where it's just like the close group. Scream 2, for me, just has so much more to offer. I love the interaction scenes with Jamie Kennedy's character, talking about with Timothy Olyphant, talking about horror movies and just sequels in general. I love the tongue-in-cheek meta-ness of this movie more than the first movie. And honestly, I think it balances it the most from the entire franchise, which is crazy to say because the entire franchise, except for Scream 5, I would say, are pretty bulletproof. I will say that there's a lot more suspense here. I love the Gale Weathers and Dewey romance in this movie so much. I think the kills are a lot more brutal as well. I love the explanation that no one is safe in the second one. This is just a great time for me. I think Ghostface is so iconic in this. Scream 2 for me is my favorite in the franchise. It's close with 4 and also the newest one. But man, Scream 2 for me is like my favorite. When I rewatch this franchise, as much as I love watching that first one again because it's great, I always look forward to watching 2 as the double for that night. So Scream 2 at number 2 for me. And at number 1, the spiciest take I have. This is for me the sequel that I know people give me the weirdest looks, and I probably deserve it. As much as I love the first one so much, don't get me wrong, Creepshow 2 is gonna be my number 1. I do love Creepshow 1, don't get me wrong. It's a great time. There's just something about Creepshow 2 for me that I just really love. Whether it's Tom Savini playing like the ghoul and also like the cartoon aspects of Creepshow 2 that makes it feel like a Saturday morning cartoon horror special, which I love. I think The Raft is probably the best Creepshow segment. I think I'm going to go with that statement. I also love the old Chief Woodenhead. It's simple. It's cool. It's to the point. I love that. Also, I used to not like The Hitchhiker, but now I really do like The Hitchhiker on rewatch. Also, this movie has only 3 segments compared to, I believe it's the 5 in the original Creepshow. As much as I love the segments in Creepshow 1, like, the crate, and I'm forgetting the last one with the Beatles. But Creepshow 2, I don't know. Like I said, it's just easier to watch for me. I think because it's shorter, less segments. I don't know. I just feel like I like that it ties everything super great and well. It feels like an encore. And again, I just like the cartoon Saturday morning special vibe of this movie. So that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to stick with my guns, and I really kind of enjoyed Creepshow 2 just a little bit more than the first, but I absolutely love both of them. I know, crazy take. And I'll give you one more for sticking around. If you have not hit that subscribe button yet, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any other news. And for those returning, I really do appreciate it. So I'm going to reward you with one more sequel movie that I think is better than the first movie. And for those who know me, they should already expect this. I'm going with Halloween 2, baby. More from the night he came home. Halloween 2 is my favorite Halloween movie, and the Rob Zombie movies do come pretty close too. If you're new, that's, just letting you know off the rip. Halloween 78 is great. It's a great time. It's really good, but man, 2 just adds a little bit more to it. I love the hospital. I love the mask and the look of Halloween 2's Michael Myers. I love Laurie and Dr. Loomis and their interactions with Michael in this movie. I think the score rips so hard in this movie compared to just the first one. I think the first one's a little methodical in some of its way, and this one just kind of feels like it's gearing up a little bit more. I like the side characters in this. Halloween 2 for me will always be my favorite to go to first. I understand the love for Halloween 3 as well, but Halloween 2 for me, I think needs to be regarded as one of the best in the franchise. And there you have it. Those are all my sequel movies I think that are better than the original. If you like more videos like this, please Let me know down in the comments below what other top 10s would you like me to see, or do you like this style of like tame to more insane takes as we go in the order. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode here at Figure Out Films. My name is Chris as always, and remember, if you are not watching sequel horror movies, do you really care about cinema? Other than that, I'll see you next time.